I was writing. Is that a good enough excuse? I was writing, and then I almost forgot my coffee. And I was like, I need to go make coffee. And then that's what made me realize, like, oh, because I paused to get coffee. And even then, it wasn't an easy pause to do. Because I didn't want to stop writing. Now I'm yawning. But I didn't want to stop writing because I'm really digging this story that I'm into. I've got, I don't know how many actual whips. Like, I don't know. I've got too many works in progress. Good morning, Kimmy. I got way too many works in progress. But the ones that I am actively working on, I've got like four or five. And one came to me last night. So I was up really late last night, and then I do this thing where I bring the good morning, Judith, good morning, Taylor. I do this thing with my kids where when it's bedtime, I go to bed too. But I whip out my laptop, like I, tuck them in, say goodnight, all the things. And then I whip out my laptop in bed. So they don't hear me working downstairs. They don't hear me working at all because I'm quiet. But they think I went to bed, so they don't feel like they're missing anything, right? So I worked really late, got the kids in bed late because I was working really late on this story idea. And then stayed up even later on my laptop after I got the kids in bed. And then I woke up this morning and realized I had the whole story backwards. And then I was going to flip it all around. So I had to go back to my outlines and flip everything. But I'm really happy with it now. So I think this is the one that I'm going to try to crank out as my next publishing venture. If I can stick with it before I decide that I am stupid and I don't like it anymore. I don't know why my fiction struggles more than my nonfiction. Does that make sense to anyone else? It doesn't make sense to me, really. But, like, if I'm writing fiction, it's a lot easier for me to decide that the story idea is stupid. If I'm writing nonfiction, it's a lot easier for me to stick with it. It's a lot easier for me to be like, no, this is good. This is really good. This is really needed, and the readers need it. I think that's one of the reasons why I switched from ghostwriting fiction to ghostwriting nonfiction. It's just easier for me to believe in it longer. Does that make sense? Good morning, Dale. Oof. I need a haircut. You see these ends? I need a haircut so bad. Like, and I keep, like, I'll stop and I'll look and I'll be like, no, they're not that bad, but they're bad. Oh, does everyone have their coffee? And it's all Star Trek's fault anyway. Because friggin' every time I watch that show, I get a new idea for a book. Good morning, Jessica. Working out the plot holes and twists in my meet cute scenes, struggling because one starts out as a hostage situation. Yeah, that would be a struggle. Everyone's all tense. You're like, how you doing? Seisha, good morning. What show gives you ideas? Star Trek. It's always Star Trek. I mean, it's not only Star Trek. A lot of different shows will spark an idea somewhere. But Star Trek seems to be the catalyst for many shows. I mean, which makes sense, right? One of my first published, actually my first published book. It wasn't the first book I wrote, but my first published book was everything I need to know about parenting I learned from watching Star Trek. So go figure. hmm And I don't think I'm the only one either, because when that book came out, it hit Amazon bestseller, which shocked me. That was before I learned about that was before I had any of the inside scoop on self-publishing. Like, I was just self-publishing. I didn't know a whole lot about marketing. I was relatively new to marketing, and I think I had just gotten my first marketing client, and that one was on Twitter. Like, that one was writing a book on Twitter. Like, I was so new to marketing at the time. I had no ideas. And I definitely didn't know about all those book gurus out there who were like, I guarantee you bestseller status. And they do it by cheating the system and all that crap. I didn't know about any of that. And I hit bestseller, so I was shocked. But then on top of it, it sat in the bestsellers list for 3 years before it knocked off. 3 years is a really long time to be on a bestsellers list. So obviously other people really related to that book. So watching your AI TikTok and it seems your light. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this light. It's this light and it doesn't look twitchy to me here at all. And even like when I'm recording, it doesn't look twitchy at all in the recording. Now, I have been recording inside my camera app because I'm trying to get into the habit of using the camera app so that I can upload the video to anything. Like, if I wanted to upload it into Instagram, I could upload it into Instagram and it be treated as a native video in Instagram instead of like reprocessed. Do you know what I mean? And I never see the flicking until I upload it, and I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I loved your response to the AI question. Thank you. I just got done recording 2 more responses to comments on that video too. I really am glad that you asked that question because I was able to respond to it 2 more times. One was someone asked a question on that video and they were like, yeah, I read that the owner said that they couldn't do AI any other way. Like, it had to be based on free stuff, so I recorded a video on that saying, yeah, right. Like, that is just oozing of the, we can't pay wait staff a livable wage. They have to earn tips because then we won't be able to make the food vibes. Like, come on. Lies. Retrain it. License the material and retrain it. Okay? We know how to do this. And then the other one was someone said, yeah, but if you go into a writing group, you're getting, if people comment, then you're getting consent. Like, they're giving you consent to use their ideas. To which I was pointing out, but not always. Because a lot of times we give ideas or advice or whatever based on what someone else did, not on what we did. We'll say things like, well, Stephen King does this. I'm not Stephen King. And nowhere did I read Stephen King say, hey, by reading my book, you're allowed to use this to help someone else write a book. Like, I've never saw that, nor did I see him say, yes, use this as material to help someone else who is stuck in their story. And we do that all the time. Writers do that all the time. That's why my line is critique partner writing group. If you're going to use it, there you go. Like, generate a story? No. But critique partner, that's where my line is. I've been learning about pathological demand avoidance, and it explains why I love writing, but when people ask me about my progress, it makes me pause my whips. I got to find a workaround for that. Oh. Can you almost implement reverse psychology on yourself or teach other people to do that? Like, for example, come up with some kind of a sign language, right? Like, this means I want to work on this book, and this means I want to work on this book. So that if you go up to someone and like, they'll ask you about the other book, which will make you go to the other book. You know what I mean? Can you come up with your own little signals kind of thing to help trick yourself into that? Good morning, Franco. Was reading a thread on one of the Facebook writing groups about adverbs, how they are bad for us and such. Bad to use. I read this. I'm pretty sure it was the same thread. I saw the thread. It came up in my Facebook feed. And I was all ready to comment. Like, I started commenting. I was like, boom, 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 boom. And then I read and it said like 183 comments. And I was like, you know what? This is too much peopling. So I deleted my comment because I was like, they don't need my comment. They don't need my comment. But here is what I will say here about adverbs. 90% of the time, you don't need them. Like 90% of the time, you don't need them. But while you're writing, that is not the time to obsess over them or go looking for them. It's in editing, and specifically when you're in copy editing. So you're going to get through the writing, you're going to get through developmental edit, you're going to get through the line edit, and you're going to come down to the copy edit. And that's when you are looking at, is this the best way to say this? Because developmental edit is what you say, line edit is the emotional tension, how you say it, and copy edit is this the best way to say it? Is this deliver the same tone? Does this deliver the amount of power I need, etc., etc.? Everything else is set. Now you're just looking for the best way. 90% of the time, the best way to say what you wanted is to just replace the adverb with a better verb. So, walked quickly. Now, if you truly mean walked quickly, like truly that's what you're going for, then leave it. But if you meant power walking, it's probably more clear to say power walking. If you meant jogging, it's probably more clear to just say jogging. If you meant running, then it's probably more powerful to say ran. If you're in there and you say ran quickly, if you mean ran quickly, then okay. But if you mean sprinted, it's more powerful to just say sprinted. It's more emotional to say sprinted because it draws in that sense of tension as well. So like 90% of the time, you don't need them, but only if you can replace them with something that actually means what it is you're trying to say. There's 2 grammar mistakes within the first 20 pages of Midsummer Night by Stephenie Meyer. I have not read that one. Do you like it? Other than grammar? I didn't realize that's how those edits worked. I need to write that down. Yeah, developmental edit is what is said. That is story structure, plot, theme, character arc. That's the developmental edit. That's what you're fixing. So that's when you're looking for plot holes. That's when you're making sure that the character arc is there. If it's a romance, that's where you're looking for the romantic arc, the plot, the theme, etc. A line edit is primarily tone and tension, pacing. That's where you're looking for the presence of the character, not just the character arc, but now are they delivering their own unique presence? Is their voice a unique voice within the book? Are you able to track who's saying what? Do fight scenes seem fighty enough? Do steamy scenes seem steamy enough? Is there tension where there needs to be? Does the book break the tension when it needs to? So on and so forth. It's the emotional ties and the how you said it. And the copy edit is just once that is done, you've got the structure, you've got the tension and the emotion. Now it's just, is this the best way to do it? Is this the best way to say this sentence? And then proofreading is making it all error-free, or at least as error-free as possible by going through and replacing commas and semicolons and capitalization and typos and so on and so forth. Now it makes more sense. I've been saying it though. No, I'm kidding. I'm glad that it's clicking for you. It is easily ignorable once, ignorable. I made that word way more complicated than it needed to be. Once you are over being thrown off, if you notice it, it's good. It's Edward's point of view from Twilight. Been in my TBR for a while, so starting with that. Oh, good. You're getting through your TBR. Good for you. I don't know how I never realized all that. It was simplified this time, but my brain was like, click. Well, good. And you know what? I don't remember who Alex said. Oh my God, Alex! I forgot to share the link, y'all. Hold on. Before Alex comes in and kills me for not sharing the link. Hello, good morning. Okay. Okay. Save the cat. Yes. Oof. Okay. Hello. What is it? Roller Kitten. Hello. What was I saying? Hang on. It was about Alex. It's what made me remember to share the link. Alex. Oh, yeah. And the click. Got it. I was telling Alex, I don't know, a few weeks ago. I don't remember when. I don't know. It was a while ago. It was before yesterday. I was telling Alex that sometimes I get this feeling of self-doubt and imposter syndrome about how much help I'm actually giving people, because I often feel like I'm saying the same things. And even when I try to change it up a little bit, and if you boil it down, a lot of my advice a lot of times is the same, which says something about consistency and whatnot. And I do change from time to time in the sense of to reflect growth or new beliefs. Before I used to say no, you don't need a blog, and now I'm yes, you do. Things like that. But anyway, so I told her that my self-doubt comes in a lot of times because of this fact, because of the fact that I will often say the same things over and over again. And I was telling her how I was extremely scared of my book, because my book also repeats a lot of the same things that I have said in TikToks and on YouTube and in my blog and so on and so forth. And then she mentioned that, yeah, somebody, I don't remember the name of the person. She gave me the name, and it doesn't matter, but I don't remember who it was anyway. But somebody had left the Discord because they were like, well, I can't handle Naomi always saying the same thing over and over and over again. But this is why. This is one of the reasons why. Because sometimes it's just going to click differently. Sometimes, for whatever reason, because of the context of the conversation in which it came out, or because I chose to to use a different word while explaining it, or because you're in a different place than you were the first time that you heard it, or whatever, sometimes it's just going to finally click. And like, I can't expect that I would say something on TikTok in 2021 and that was just it. Now no one is ever going to ever ask me that question again. You know what I mean? Like, this is why. So thank you for validating me. The questions are always repeated in a forum like that. Answers will get repeated. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why I don't mind answering the same question either. Like, there are times, depending on the answer or depending on the question, when I might be like, I wrote a blog post about this. Like, that's usually, you know, hey, I'm going to answer your question, but I'm not going to go in nearly as much detail as I did over here or whatever. But for the most part, I've never been like, actually, we just talked about that. To go watch the replay. You know? What you say. Oh, developmental edit is what you say. Line edit, emotional tension, how you say it. Copy edit is the best way you can say. Tone, power, etc., etc. Yes. Yes. And that's also why you want your alpha reader feedback before you do the developmental edit, because alpha readers often are looking for plot holes and things. That's why we ask for alpha readers, right? And they're looking for loose ends, plot holes. Sometimes they're there to read what you have so far and then give you a direction for an ending, things like that. So it's the best time to be able to implement their feedback before the developmental edit, right? Whereas the best time to get sensitivity reader feedback is after the developmental edit, but before the line edit. Because now the character arcs are fully fledged character arcs. They're there. This is what the character is doing. And the sensitivity reader can talk about the presence of the character, whether or not the representation that the character gives is respectful and, you know, accurate, or whatever the case may be, depending on what you're going for. But like, now you're able to tell the sensitivity reader, this is their arc. This is what they're doing throughout the story. And then the sensitivity reader can basically tell you, this is how they would do that. And then you can take their feedback and apply it during the line edit when you're fixing tone, voice, and character presence, etc. Good morning, Ember. Now that I have that written down, I don't have to bug you about this one. Bug me anyway. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bug me. You have a case of the Mondays? I'm sorry. I hope your Monday gets better. Made me feel better and realize I can up my editing game better. Hip hop dance. Good morning. I finished typing up my novella yesterday. Yay! Oh, that's so great. Get her ready for school. All right. Yeah, very. Actually, ish. It is on this end at the moment. Ugh. Except, of course, what do I do? Okay, we'll do that. And we'll do that. Okay. Okay. I am new. What is this stream about? We talk about writing and publishing books. And this is an open Q&A. So if you are trying to write a story or stuck writing a story or thinking about writing a story and you have questions, I'm here to answer your questions. My best friend's support character went crazy yesterday and I have to take out a whole scene and now I'm stuck. Okay, maybe I should take back the whole if you're stuck thing. What was I doing last night, Taylor? I thought of you. I was recording a TikTok video, but I wasn't recording a video. I was like downloading a video from my, like, you know, the on this day or whatever. And it was a video. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, if you go to my TikTok, there's a video that I posted late last night or super early this morning. I don't know. And it was one of the benefits of being an author is that the story finally does what you want it to do or whatever, something along those lines, right? And I had to practice. I remember making that video because I had to practice so hard to make it look like I was laughing at the end because I kept saying it with such a straight face. Anyway, and I wanted it to be funny. Anyway, in the caption, I was thinking of you because I kept thinking about how you always say that the characters like go crazy and just like go off plot and just do whatever they want. What do you want, cat? Like, I was just getting comfortable. Cat's like, no. Anyway, so and I was talking about the longer you work on a story, it's that whole Maya Angelou thing all over again. The more you can never run out of creativity because the more you use, the more you get. And so the longer you're working on a story and you're letting your creative juices flow with the story, the more ideas you come up with. And sometimes those ideas might make for better, different stories, but sometimes they're going to be incorporated into that story, which can start making it feel like the characters are yanking you out of the story and onto something else. And it's not really the characters at all. It's your own subconscious because of your creativity. And anyway, made me think of you. Timed out for 86,000 seconds. Hello, Alexandra. She's really intense. I'm thinking of expanding my storyverse and writing a side novel with one of the other creatures of my bestiary. Nice. How to remove characters out of your story which can pose a threat to your story. What do you mean? Do you mean like there is a character in your story and you want to remove them, but if you remove them, it will kill your story? Or do you mean you have a character in your story that is killing your story that you need to get out to make the story better? Have control of the characters. These are just people that live in my head that I put on paper. Anyway, it made me think of you. Unalive the character, right? All the proverbial little like torches and pitchforks come out. It's like it's actually like the letter L with a little flame on top. Kill the darlings, kill the darlings. Oh, but how? Okay, so I mean, that is going to depend a bit on the genre that you're writing and things like that. Super strong characters. So, depending on your genre, the way that I usually approach unaliving a character is I start by what necessitates this termination. Like, is it because I need to drive the plot forward and that's just where it's going? Does it serve as a catalyst to something else? Does it force a different character to grow or whatever that is? I like to have that impact in my head before I even start it. The next is once I have the impact on the story that I know it's going to have, then I need to know what is the impact that I want the reader to experience over it. So depending on what the story is, obviously there's different ways to handle terminating a character, right? In the case where it's a guide who has like accomplished everything they wanted to do, they're just too strong for character development to happen on the main character. Okay. All right. So you need to do it in order to force the main character to like beef up and show up, right? So, okay. Then it becomes, do you want the reader to feel sad about it? Or do you want the reader to be like, oh my God, finally, probably the first one, in which case it's going to make your main character dip a little bit. But then you just have to, you can do this in a few ways. You can have the enemy off that character, which helps raise the stakes. It makes the reader realize how dangerous the story is, the world is that your characters are going through. It helps raise the stakes. It helps your main character now be like, well, oh crap. They're going to go through a few different things. They're probably going to go through, well, if they didn't make it, I'm not going to make it. Who the hell am I? And they might go through, well, after that, like, crap, they didn't make it. If I want to make it, I better beef up. I better like stand up and go do this thing. So it kind of like triggers first a little bit of self-doubt in them, but then more like, okay, I need to start showing up. I need to better myself or else I'm going to follow that same fate type of thing. So you probably can do that. You can make it environmental, but that always feels like it's kind of robbing people a little bit. And then depending on how sad you want people to do, how sad you want the reader to feel over it, will be where in that particular character's arc they are. So everyone has a mission, right? So depending on what this particular character's mission is, let's say their mission is to get the main character over to a place, right? So they're almost there, but they didn't, let's say, I mean, they have their own personal mission. So their story mission might be getting the main character over there, but maybe once they get the main character there, the reason that they're going there is because the love of their life is there. And like, they're going to get there, they're going to retire, they're going to get married and go and have their kids, right? I'm spitballing here. But maybe that's their internal motivation of doing this thing. But now, and if the reader knows that, and the character knows that, and your character that is too strong knows that, and then they get offed before they get there or right before they get there. That feels much more emotional now because they didn't get to accomplish what they were out to accomplish. No, I was just spitballing. It could be anything. It could be that was their last mission and they get to retire and go fishing and live the good life. It could be a huge payoff. Like maybe their father has been kidnapped and like they get him back when they accomplish this mission or whatever, and then they're unalived before they get their father back, right? Or like it can be anything that makes sense within your story. It doesn't have to be the love of his life waiting for him. It can be whatever makes sense in your story based on what's there. But the strategy is if you unalive them, it's really tragic and sad when they're like mid-arc or right over the big part of their arc, but not quite to the end. They haven't accomplished their mission. Obi-Wan or Yoda, death of the mentor. Yeah, so that's the other way to do it. But okay, your cat. You need to stop, okay? You do not need my lap that much. Blah, 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 blah. I gotta replace my charger here. Yeah. So with the mentor, it's a little bit different because the tragedy doesn't come usually from the actual termination of the character. The tragedy that comes when a mentor is gone is the fact that it's kind of like, well, their knowledge is now gone from this world. They helped so many people and now they're never going to be able to help anyone again. Yeah, they lived a great life. They helped all these people, but now their wisdom is gone from the world. So the tragedy that most people feel on that end is cat. Okay, say hi. Say hi to the floof. She's just purring away like I haven't kicked her off my lap 4 times. Anyway. Give the kitty all the lovin's. She's had so many kitties. All right. I mean, did I say kitties? I meant she's had so many lovin's. Okay, go. Go. Okay, then get down. What's her name? This one is Brizzo. Never enough lovin's. But so many lovin's. Come on. Get off my shoulder. Okay, you can sit up there. That's fine. If you can sit up there, you can sit up there. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So the tragedy feels a little bit different because people are satisfied that that's not the kind of character termination that like makes someone throw the book. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of termination that in the end the reader is like, okay, I understand, I feel satisfied. It's moving on now. Like they're okay. Even if the character is like completely flabbergasted and like knocked for a loop, the reader still feels satisfied. But when it's mid-arc, the reader is like, that's the kind of unaliving that makes the reader throw the book. Brizzo with a B. And no, she's what is she the goddess of again? She's one of the muses. I don't remember. I didn't name her. Ancient Greek goddess who is formerly known as the protector of mariners, sailors, and fishermen. Anyway, see, my ex-husband picked out this one and the other one from the shelter and brought them home. And then I wanted to name this one Pixel, and I wanted to name the other one Stormageddon. And Steven was like, no, they have names already. I already named them. And I said, well, what did you name them? And he said Brizzo and Harmonia. And I was like, I don't like those names. And he goes, well, I was keeping with the Greek because prior to that, all of our animals had some kind of Greek tie to them. I don't know why. I am not Greek. My ex-husband was Japanese. I don't know why he named everything off of something Greek. Like all of my pets growing up were always named after like Doctor Who or Star Wars characters or something. But then when he and I first got together, I had a cat. At the time, I had a cat named Izzy from Starship Troopers, and then, or Dizzy rather. And then he had these 3 cats that were all named after Greek. And then we bought we didn't buy. We rescued a dog and adopted a dog for my dad. Named her Athena, and then like. Anyway, and then it was the whole, well, I don't want them confused over the names. So when he left, I let them keep their names. You know what I mean? Anyway. Stormageddon, Dark Lord of All. Exactly. Have you read You Reached Sam? I have not read that one yet. Because Greek mythology is the basis for most fantasy stories. Is it? I don't know. I know it has a lot of stories. I don't know about fantasy. And I don't know if it's most of them. I know there's a lot. And I know that for a really long time, I was really into Greek mythology. I'm still into it. It's not like I'm not. I just... Zeus with it. I never named all my animals off of Greek mythology. If I ever get an owl, I want to call it Bubo. Yes. I'm never going to have an owl, but yeah, I 100% would absolutely name it Bubo. A mini Highland cow, my sister said no. I don't know whose side I'm on for that one. My dogs are Samson and Dina Winchester White. I eventually want a black cat named Crowley and a white cat named Castiel. But I need a pasture puppy. Can you remind me how to do multiple trigger warnings again? Hello. All right. So my favorite method is first, make sure that they are on your site and associate whatever symbol you're going to use on your site. Have them as an icon. You don't have to say what the icons do, but start the association. So if you've got one trigger warning for SA, for example, and that might be like a infinity, one of the infinity looking swirls, not the infinity signal itself, but like one of the swirls that represent it. Start associating that symbol with that trigger warning. You've got another one for, say, CM or CP, then you might have a fleur-de-lis with that. You've got another one that is DV, then maybe you would have like another, more upright flourish or something like that. But start associating the icon with that from the site, from your site, have it there. On the page, you're going to have it like your content warning page that has an explanation of how it works. So whenever you see one of the symbols below, understand that the scene, the following scene contains that. So whatever that is, SA, CP, DV, etc. So that way you can have, I still would try not to go over 5 because you want them all on one page. You want the page not to feel overwhelming. I mean, ultimately it's up to you. But you don't want it to feel like it's so overwhelming because you've got all these different warnings happening that someone might go, oh, there's just too much in this book. I can't do this. So I wouldn't go overboard with them. But, maybe you can, if you can't keep them all on one page, then maybe make sure that they're on facing pages so that it's still like at a glance and it doesn't feel like they're starting to turn pages to get through them all. But then again, you have the icon with whatever that particular warning is. Then throughout the book, in place of the asterisks, where that would normally denote like a change in scene, if the coming scene contains the warning, contains the content for a warning, you would put that instead. I learned the other day that I need to put a trigger warning for described spicy scenes. I don't know what described spicy scenes means. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Since it doesn't fade to back, to back. Since it doesn't fade to black. So you're including the S scenes. I don't know if that's a trigger warning though. That's not on the list of normal. Presuming that it is S and not R or SA, then that should just be within the rating of the book and how you categorize the book. Like, does it include erotic scenes? I mean, I wouldn't market the book as like a cozy romance if it includes S, but it's not. Maybe it's a content warning, but it's not really a trigger warning, I don't think, unless it's SA or R or like CM or something like something like that. Usually you just say steamy and people know. Yeah. Content warning. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. That falls, if you need to place some kind of a warning, that would fall under content warning, not necessarily a trigger warning. Maybe they confused content warning with trigger warning, potentially. Hello, Kathy. In the end, it's all about creating a safe environment for our readers. So if your readers would feel more safe being able to pick up a book and realize that there is S in there, then great. However, that should be kind of implied through your marketing if it's in there. You don't want, if your book has S in it, you don't necessarily want to market to the people who don't like reading that stuff. Because even if your marketing is really great and they pick up the book, they're not going to be happy with it. People are apparently getting really mad when the book is fantasy and has spicy scenes. But see, that's marketing. That is, to me, that is an author who did not do a clear enough job in their marketing to set the expectations that say, hey, this is a spicy fantasy. Or what are they calling it romantasy or something along those lines. That is them marketing, saying, oh, it's this nice fantasy. You're going to love it. It's escapism. And really, it's not. Yeah, see, because there are plenty of people who like it. So that's in my opinion, and I don't know who you're talking about, and I haven't seen any of the marketing for it, and I haven't seen the book for it, et cetera, or the reviews or anything like that. But in my opinion, based on the information that you've given, what you're describing is an author who failed at the marketing. Like they were not clear in setting up what kind of book it was. And because of that, they got in front of the wrong crowd, and it's hitting them in the reviews. So per my question the last time I was on your live, I decided to give all 2 of the 3 romances a love or S scene. One of my MCs is a succubus, spices implied. I have actual reasons for them, but still feel like I am queer baiting if only one of the same-sex couples has a love or S scene. Help. I don't know how to help you. That is what I thought too, but I have seen authors confused and readers that are mad. One of the books it's happening to is ACOTAR. I have not read ACOTAR. What is that? A Court of Thrones and Roses? Thorns and... Did I say thrones? A Court of Thrones. Whatever. I haven't read it. A Court of Thorns and Roses. Not Thrones. It's not Thrones. ACOTAR is because it's being put as YA. That was one of the big problems with that book. That was one of the biggest complaints that I saw coming out about that book, was that it was being marketed as young adult when it's not. So, yeah, my theory stands. I haven't read the book, but yeah, my theory stands. It's a failure on the marketing. I mean, imagine, like, I'm trying to think. If you see a young adult book, it is being marketed as young adult, and it is being listed as young adult, and you go to the bookstores and it's under young adult, and then you read it and it's clearly R-rated, triple X's, you can get mad at the author, but would a content warning, like, would you expect a content warning, or would you expect it to be filtered correctly? You know what I mean? Or advertised correctly. Like, If I go and I pick up a young adult book that I see in the bookstore under YA and I read it and it's got a content warning for a spice scene, my immediate thought isn't like, oh, thank goodness that they put a content warning up here. My immediate thought is, if it's got a spice scene, why is it in this section? Why is it there? Those are adult characters. Yeah, when it first came out, it was marketed as YA big time. For the female same couple, scene comes into play to help the siren accept and step into her power without losing control. She later goes on to use said powers to save her new friends. I don't see it in YA, it might be in it. The series isn't even put in YA. They are romance and or fantasy. I had no idea it was marketed that way. Ooh. Alexandra, but like we went through this. I already gave you all the tips that I know. You can either write in a reason for that last couple to do it, and using everything that you know about storytelling and reasoning, you put in where it's going to happen and how it drives the plot forward. I would stay away from, especially if you're getting worried that someone is going to call you out for queer baiting, I would stay away from putting it in just for the sake of having it in without going through your story and having an actual reason for it, because that is that is pandering. And like we were talking whenever it was ago about putting things into stories, and it's not really that people are complaining about things being in stories or things not being in stories so much as when they're in there, they're not handled respectfully. And that's, everything from diversity to trauma to everything else. Handle it respectfully. I would not put it in there just for the sake of putting it in there. If you're scared of queer baiting, that is queer baiting. That's putting in a meaningless scene that does nothing other than you just wanted to write it. That is queer baiting. So, good morning. So take some time to think about what it means for this last couple. Do they need it? Would it enhance the story in some way? What would the impact be? How would that impact the plot, the relationship, each of the characters, etc.? And if you can make it work, then put it in and make it work. If there's no way to put it in and make it work, then you have your response. If someone comes at you on social media and says, oh, I'm so mad because, of course, this couple and this couple did it, but you didn't let this couple do it, you can be like, yeah, because I didn't want to pander and there was no reason to within the book. Within the confines of their universe, there was no reason to do that. You have your response. Internet hiccuped. Of course it did. It's been changed to new adult now, I think, but it was definitely YA to begin with. All right. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with me, asking your questions, and just being wonderful people. Word office hours in about 20 minutes-ish, around there. All right, I'll share the link. Otherwise, everyone else, I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being here. Go get all the words written, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay? Bye.